Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass, this is another Conquest battle report. So this is round 3 of the Calgary Tournament, and I'm playing 100 Kingdoms into 100 Kingdoms. I feel like, at least in every tournament I go to so far, the 3. But anyway, as I do more, hopefully this continues as a trend. I gotta play 100k into 100k at some point, so here we go, get them in the finals. Leading up to this moment, all 300 players are 2-0, and the two with the highest scores are myself and my opponent, a gentleman named Adam. Great guy, had a really awesome game with him. Were the two higher score, I think it was done by like CPs, like, you know, points you get or whatever from scoring zones and crap. So we're gonna play into each other. Do I have anything else to say before going into this? Probably not. Probably just, you know, get into the list, get into the game. I might talk about more of the overall event at the end, so if you want to stick around after, you know, the scores revealed and I've given some, like, hey, these are the tactical things and all that crap at the end, I might talk more about, like, the whole trip in general. That's if I remember this, because it might be, like, 40 minutes from now. So, here's my list. It is the same list I have played in the past 2 rounds, the 1500 point list that I made in 5 minutes. And I'm just going to go over it one more last time so that everyone knows what I'm talking about or why I pick stuff and all that jazz. So we have, let's see here. At the top, Relentless Drills. This is absolutely meaningless and worthless, and I just picked something. Then we got my first Warlord as the Imperial Officer. He's got the Rapid Deployment Supremacy, which gives Vanguard to all infantry units. And I'm just going to say it, his warband is just 3 units of Merc Crossbows, and he's got Fire First and Aim Laner, so, and On Your Feet, so that gives you double time and fire in advance. What gives you the Scoot and Shoot, what is Move, Shoot, Move. So I'll break this, this interaction down a little bit. So basically, you draw the regiment card the Imperial Officer's in, you say, I'm going to do double time and fire in advance, you then move the Merc Crossbows, you then shoot with the Merc Crossbows, and because you've shot as your second action, fire in advance triggers, so you get to another move, so you move again. But because you've now moved twice in one activation, you get to move a third time because of double time. That is the move, the shoot and scoot. And with this, you'll see me like move sideways like 2.5 inches a bunch of times and shooting, and then you'll like moving backwards like 2.5 inches each time, or forwards 5, or, you know, like just moving around, wheeling, doing whatever crap I can do. His last thing is Disorienting Strikes. I had 10 points left over and I threw it on that. That's really it. Like, that's all he's getting. Next thing, yeah, I already mentioned 3 units of Merc Crossbows. They're not upgraded at all. There's just 3 stands. They're just there to shoot. Those are my 3 lights. My next warband is Warlord of the Priory Commander of the Order of Crimson Tower. So I get his Supremacy, the first blessing. So everyone in his warband will receive Blessed, and if you already have Blessed, you either get Harden 1 or +1 attack. In his warband, I'll just talk about this a little quick. He's got 2 units Order of Crimson Towers and 2 units of Order of Ashen Dawn. There's the second one. Look at him over there. So Ashen Dawn are going to get like Harden 1 or +1 attack. Order of Crimson Tower is going to get Blessed. And at this point, he, for equipment, has Long Lineage to get an Heirloom, and then he has Oliphane's Roar to get +1 Clash and Terrifying 1 on the charge with a unit he's in. He's going to be in a unit of Order of Crimson Towers, so Terrifying 1 doesn't stack, because it's Terrifying 1 and Terrifying 1, it's not Terrifying +1. Sad times for to be a 100 Kingdoms player, but it's fine. I really want that Clash because I want to be Clash 4 when I charge. That's the list. So I got 4 heavies and 3 lights. No mediums, because we don't need mediums where we're going. So the general idea is that I'm going to have the Merc Crossbows up the table, kind of just like Vanguard up, set that line of engagement, and just shoot at people as they come in. And I'm kind of want to stall out until the Order of Ashen Dawn and the Order of Crimson Towers get onto the table, and then I'm going to use the Ashen Dawn as anvils and the Crimson Towers hammers and just kind of engage and fight my opponent. I can tell you right now, this game and table gets super messy, and I am at this point hungry, maybe a little bit tired, but mostly hungry, and I'm just kind of like, alright, let's play this last game and get it over with. So there are mistakes that are made, but I will go over them as I flip through the pictures and talk about the whole game itself. But let me slow roll my rules for you. So if there's a rule that I did not go over, you can pause the video, read it, be like, if you have a question about a rule, you can always just comment below. I'll answer your questions. I do look at the comments. I usually look at them like, I don't know, like 2 days later after a video goes live, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah. There's all my rules. Let's go to my opponent's 100 Kingdoms list, and we'll have a look at that. Here is my opponent's 100 Kingdoms list. He called it Tourney List. I love the names everyone has picked so far. No one did anything interesting. It was just kind of like, actually, no, that's a lie. Liam from round 1, from Millennial Model Mayhem, called his list Angry Chicken, so I will give him mad props for that one. But everyone else was just like, Tourney List, or like, for mine it was 1,500 points, because I really ripped it up, like, well, I made it in like 5 minutes. So, my opponent here, he has, his Mounted Noble Lord is his Warlord, by the way. So I didn't select it here when I was building this, that's my bad. But anyway, that gives him the Speed of Horse supremacy, which gives all his Household Knight regiments +1 impact and reroll 6s, so just that is available and on him. That's just my bad, I forgot to select him. He's in Veterans, because he's going to Veterans a bunch of stuff. He's got Relentless, so he gains Flurry on all his attack rolls on the character, and he has Oliphane's Roar, so once again, +1 Clash and Terrifying 1. He has a unit of Veterans Mounted Squires, +1 Clash, Standard Bearer, Court Palatine, so he's going to basically be like always Clash 4 with them until I kill off some guys. Then he's got a unit of Household Knights. They are +1 Clash, Standard Bearer, Tourney Champion, so this is his hard-hitting hammer. I gotta watch myself out for that, because like at Clash 4, rerolling 6s with their Brutal Impact 1s and Terrifying 1, like Household Knights do a lot of work just because they're so accurate, and they both inflict damage on the defense and the resolve. And Oliphane's Roar really helps out with that. That's his first warband. His next warband is the Chapter Mage, who is the Warlord as well, so second Warlord has protective glyphs, so any spellcasting coming into the army is going to be under interference, and any self-cast spells are now range 8, and she's in School of Water with Arcane 1 through 3, so she's going to be healing people or putting up the fog wall. That's really it. She's in a 6-stand block of Veterans Men-at-Arms with Standard Bearer and Seasoned Veterans, so that Bastion +1. My issue with this is because Veterans no longer increases your resolve. The resolve is 2, and there's 7 of them, so I believe they go up to 4. But once they start losing stands, because they're only defense 3, with 2 of the shield, if they get to activate and draw their, like, you know, their draw event, they go to defense 4, so they'll be alive a little longer. So they're going to be like resolve 4, defense 4. But once they start taking hits, they're going to fall off a lot, and especially if they take hits before Bastion gets applied. So I don't really value big blocks of Men-at-Arms because they just die super easily, because like that resolve value can be manipulated very quickly. His last warband is an Imperial Officer with Armor Dominion, Brace for Impact, Fire First, Aim Later, so this gives him, Brace for Impact is I can't remember, it's Bastion, there we go, I got it, Bastion. And Fire First, Aim Later is the Fire in Advance. He's got a unit of crossbows and a big old blob of Gilded Legion in his warband. I don't know if he was like, oh, I'm going to put them in the Merc crossbows, and then he's going to shuffle to the Gilded Legion. It doesn't really matter, because Gilded Legion are all with +1 Clash, and they're Veterans, and they have the Drill Master, so they get double time anyway, so he was kind of just like, oh, I'll just pick more, and I'm like, okay. He's got TAC 1 for the, I think he just had like 10 points left over, then he took Disordinating Strike if he ever gets into a duel. He's this big blob of Gilded Legion who are going to be like defense 4, resolve 4, so if I can hit them from the side, ignore pike formation with the cav, like they're a really good anvil with 6 stands, you know, he's going to have the Imperial Officer in there, so he's going to try and get Armor Dominion on anything that has cleave, like it's going to be kind of a pain in the ass to deal with, and I just got to kind of pick my engagement and see if I can get around into his side, so we'll see how well I do on that. But he's got this big anvil with the Gilded Legion. He's got a really good hammer with the Household Knights. He's got Mounted Squires running around being harassers. He's got Merc Crossbows for a bit of shooting harassment. His Chapter Mage and Men-at-Arms can easily sit on his zone, and if the Chapter Mage is close enough, she can heal people, which is really good. They're kind of another anvil, but they kind of fall apart really quick, and you'll see when and how they fall apart. So, yeah, I do like his Imperial Officer warband. I like his Mounted Noble Lord warband. The mage is a mage, and she doesn't do enough is always my problem with her. Like, for her to be effective, she kind of has to turn into a Dwag caster, but it's like, no, we don't need more of those things running around. So with that, I'm going to slow roll my opponent's rules. If you want to pause the video at any time, look at something I didn't go into specifics about, or want to see you saw a rule that I never like cleared up, you know, pause the video, have a read. I like reading. There we go. Okay, and then with that, let's go to the scenario. All right, the scenario we're playing today is Decline Flank, and this one's kind of weird. I've played it before, but we kind of mess up a bit here, and I'll talk about it now just so that I kind of remember to do so. But the special rules for the scenario are as following. At the end of each supremacy phase, the first player chooses one of the 6 objective zones, then the second player does so, and the second player cannot choose the same objective zone as the first. Until the end of the round, players do not gain VPs from those C's objective zones. During the victory phase for each player, they gain VPs as following. They gain 2 VPs for each zone they are seizing. They gain additional 2 if they are seizing 3 objective zones, and they gain additional 1 if they are seizing all objective zones. So I don't know. So this last bullet point, if they get additional 1 if you're seizing all, does that mean you're seizing all 6 objectives? Or does that mean you're seizing only 4 of these objectives because 2 of them are going to be knocked out because they don't gain points from seizing those objectives? I assume it's seizing all 6 because you can still seize the zone, you just don't get points for it. So there's a bit of a point total up there. This pick a zone and you don't get points for it, and because it's the end of supremacy phase after both players know who's going first and second, usually we would be like, okay, let's start our activation, start drawing cards out of our command deck and all that stuff, and we forget to do so. At one of them, like, I totally forgot, and I was just like, oh, I'll move it, and I screwed myself over, and I should just left it. And there's other times where I'm like, my opponent and I, as the game went on, we would like draw a card or two and we're like, oh, god damn it, we didn't do it. Like, I once again, I really only care about zones on the table, how much are they worth, let's play the game. I'm not a huge fan of the like special rule stuff, just because it's like, hey, it adds another part in the game that now I have to pay attention to and think about, while it's like I just want to play the game. And it's kind of, and we've had it, like, my opponent was better on it at like the start, but as we like went on, because this game goes all the way to turn 10, I want to say around like 6 or 7, both of us were like forgetting about it, and it was just like, oh, god damn it, we gotta like, and we're like, okay, hold on, are we gonna change anything from like the 2 cards we've both drawn to like our zones we're gonna pick? And it's like, eh. The other thing that kind of starts happening is that you kind of get into like, it can be really easy, however, to just like pick a zone on, like, I don't know, let's say my opponent like picks this zone over here in blue and just leaves it there for like 10 turns. So now it's like, okay, now I'm gonna focus on this side of the table. So, there's that. Like, my opponent did that. Like, I think my opponent picked this zone, and basically I had like the Imperial Officer and my crossbows in there, and he would just like left it there for the majority of the game. He moved it around a couple times, but it was just kind of like, well, shit. I'm like, god damn it. Not scoring any points. And I do the same to my opponent, so there's a bit of like control, because you can pick a zone that your opponent has a regiment like on to like force them off to come closer to you because you want to deal with them in a better spot, or you can pick a zone that is your opponent might be going to. So let's say I'm gonna do this one in red, like I'll just mark that one in red. I pick that one, and my opponent is like thinking about going this way to go fight some of my regiments who are in that area, but now his zone he can score, and he's the only thing that can score over there. So maybe he'll leave, like, let's say his Dragon Slayers in that zone all game, and it's like, okay, well, now I don't have to deal with Dragon Slayers because they're scoring and not doing any work. And if I score 2 zones to his 1, I'm winning the game. So there's a bit of like control mind games you can do with that with your opponent, because your opponent, like, you got to score to win. And I can tell you, this game gets into a grind. There's mistakes on my end get made, and there's mistakes on my opponent's end get made. And 100 Kingdoms wins, but you're going to find out if it's myself or my opponent. So with that, let's go get into the table, and I can discuss the train that was used today. So here's a table. Here's a train. Right off the bat, I'm going to mention that only, I believe, these 2 zones were properly set, And these zones right here were just thrown on the table, kind of roughly where they should be, and no one set the table. So we thought they were set properly, and we were looking at the paper over here, as you can see, and it's like, doesn't even remotely look like the paper to the table. So we figured that out around turn 2, and we just shimmy everything, and then we just like kind of shimmy our own regiments over that we deployed in turn 1. And it's really not that bad or like huge change in anything. But these zones will move around like turn 2 or something when we notice it. For train itself, we have a size 3 obstruction over here, a size 3 obstruction over there. I think this might be a size 2 or size 1, and then, fuck, I don't know, size 1. There's only obstructions. So we're kind of just like trying to wiggle our way around stuff and get to places. And these kind of move, so you'll kind of see us like trying to get around crap, and things just get in our way to fight each other. Like having 6 obstructions on the table is kind of a pain in the ass to get anywhere nicely. It does look open, but we end up like, okay, there's only certain, like, it really forces lanes and paths. There is a path like here you can fit 2 stands through, so there's all that. But yeah, that's really the table. There isn't much to talk about, just that. We will sort out where the zones are supposed to be properly placed. In a couple turns, you'll see that change. And also, any of this little stuff, I believe, I'll circle in purple like that, I don't really think comes up as thing we can move through that like freely or whatever. So yeah. Alright, that's the table. Let's go to turn 1. Here's turn 1. I only get my Merc Crossbows, my Imperial Officer on the table. I immediately run up the table into a zone. And my opponent, knowing that I have 3 Merc Crossbows coming, he just kind of moves around to the side here and just kind of goes, yeah, there we go. As you can see, we picked scenario elements. I picked this one in the middle here because I didn't really want him to deploy across from me. My opponent picked this one because I think he wants to force me onto this side of the table more, kind of in between these 2 obstructions. So it's like, okay, cool. I want to kind of control the middle of the table, however, so that's kind of why I picked that. And yeah, that's turn 1. Let's find out in turn 2 if we fix this scenario problem. Okay, here's turn 2, and the scenario is properly fixed. So I get both my Merc Crossbows onto the table, as you can see. My opponent starts pulling in his mediums. I think he gets all his mediums and his other light. Yeah, he gets his Mount Squires over there. He uses his Chapter Mage and Men-at-Arms. He uses his Household Knights in there. So he's all doing good. Scenario is properly set. This obstruction over here kind of gets bumped a bunch and moves around. Not the end of the world. Because I know for myself, this tree, I fucking whacked this tree because it's so high up a couple times. I'm like, oh boy. So you're going to see that tree move a lot. So things would happen. We kind of just draw some cards. You can see once again, my opponent drops his no scoring over there. What really sucks for me, I drop it like, once again over there. He's planning to get the Chapter Mage and Men-at-Arms into the zone to score those points. These Mounted Squires are thinking about getting into these guys. It's fine. My Imperial Officer and his Merc Crossbows are kind of fine sitting there because eventually he's going to have to move that, or if he doesn't, then I'll just keep shooting at him in different directions. I do have to watch out for myself because he is blocked from line of sight into that zone across from me with that skull, so I probably have to move over at some point so I can't get like a nice shooting line there and just like lay into Men-at-Arms. On the left side, he does score this for points because his House of Knights just touch the zone, and if you're just touching the zone, so if it's 15 inches away and you march 15 inches and you're touching on that tangent, still counts because of the Dev Errata. And if you want to see that errata, join the BonkTable Discord, and they have a Dev Errata channel, and you can go in there and you can just look through them, and they're all just basically Leandros and Reese confirming rulings, basically, and they're orange text. So we just kind of have it all, it's not organized, it's mostly just contained and like filed away, so you can just kind of scroll through it. There's no like extra jibber jabber, so you can totally just scroll through them all and find the picture that you're looking for, what represents this scenario. My opponent and I, for these 2 Merc Crossbow units, are like 18.5 away from each other, so one of us is going to have to move. he kind of shimmied around. It was like, oh, you're gonna have to move to shoot me, and I was like, sure, and I just shimmied around. It was like, yeah, I'll deal with you in a bit. And I just kind of read the Merc Crossbows up the table, nothing huge, because I'm waiting for the Ashen Dawn and Crimson Towers to come out so I can actually do work. So with that, that's turn 2. Let's go have a look at turn 3. Here's turn 3. Ashen Dawn come onto the table. That's great for me. My opponent has his Gilded Legion come onto the table, so he just runs them up to go into this zone right here for next turn. He once again drops his Thingamabobber onto that zone, keeping the Imperial Officer and the Merc Crossbows tied up. I dropped mine right there to make sure that the Men-at-Arms and Chapter Mage don't really want to be that far back. My opponent, what the heck do they do? I moved my Merc Crossbows. I just double march backwards, just so that I don't get shot by other Merc Crossbows, because Merc Crossbows are terrible at just shooting up, like. So Merc Crossbows start to suck once they start losing stands. So if I can just preserve them, I'll keep them alive longer. My opponent, however, does move up with his unit of Merc Crossbows and then just shoots into my Ashen Dawn, who I deployed to score this zone right here. I just ran them up 15. And he does like 3 damage, so like there's half an Ashen Dawn down, and I'm like, oh, that really sucks, and I don't really want to get charged for that. And he's like 18 inches away, so I can get to him, or maybe he's 14. I know I can get to him, but it's the other problem I have is that there is this unit of Household Knights just set up ready to charge me, and he's scoring, so it's like, ugh. So he's trying to bait me here, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm tired and hungry, and next turn I totally fall for the bait. His Mounted Squires over on the right side here, though, do a march charge into these Merc Crossbows. I think he hits once and I roll the 1 and save it all, so they're all fine. I then have my Merc Crossbows like shoot into his side, and these Merc Crossbows like stab him, and I've done 5 wounds, so Mounted Squires are slowly going down. That's fine. Hopefully I can clean those up, and then I can start working on the Men-at-Arms as I wait for more Ashen Dawn and Crimson Towers to show up, so I can start like. Because currently my game plan is I should have enough if I deploy like maybe some Ashen Dawn or maybe some like Crimson Towers here to kind of like swoop through this with the Merc Crossbows and kill all that right side and score it. And then the other Ashen Dawn and Crimson Towers can focus on these 3 regiments, and that should be like an easy win for me. And that's kind of what I want to deploy for forces. But next turn I kind of make a mistake and you'll see it. So let's go to that. What is this? End of turn 3? Yep, so turn 4. Here's turn 4. So things that go on. I don't get any Crimson Towers. I get my other unit of Ashen Dawn. You can see up the table here. My opponent once again locks down this zone. So I'm like, well, if I can't get to it, I'm just going to start moving the Imperial Officer over. So he does like a side scoot, shoots into some Mounted Squires. Chapter Mage with Men-at-Arms kind of runs up the table because I have declined this zone. Chapter Mage heals the Mounted Squires. Here, this is a spell effect. And then my my Merc Crossbows like stab into Mounted Squires, and I like kill basically 2 stands, but now there's 1 stand with 3 health left, so now I'm fighting these guys. Those Merc Crossbows are taking a beating, as you can see. They only got 5 wounds left, and my opponent is scoring this zone. Yay! So there's, on the left side here, there's like 2 mistakes I kind of make. One mistake is that I charge the Ashen Dawn, march charge into the Merc Crossbows, and I kill a stand. My opponent smartly removes the stand that goes right here. So smart on him. He then has those Household Knights charge in and hit those Ashen Dawn, and I'm down to like 2 life on that last Ashen Dawn. Just because Household Knights hit very hard if you veterans them, give them Olaphane's Roar, and do a bunch of attacks. My only saving grace was that he killed one of the Ashen Dawn on the impacts, and then when he went to do his clash, he only had like 4 from support, and only one of them got full attacks in, so that kind of helped a lot. I did bless off the impact attacks because they were brutal impact 1s and terrifying and all that stuff, while the clash, I was like, I'll just take on the lip. So anyway, a bunch of attacks come in, and that Ashen Dawn unit is basically dead. His Merc Crossbows are like down to 5 health, so they might just die to shooting after. These Merc Crossbows just move up, and I don't even think they shoot. I think they just move up the table. With that, if I was planning to do that, my second unit of Ashen Dawn, which are deployed in the middle, should have deployed. I'll just circle it like over here, just to kind of double up and just force a double wave. Because if I had Ashen Dawn where these current Merc crossbows are for a second wave, then I could probably lose that first Ashen Dawn, and then I could like charge into his Hustle Knights, and that would really suck for my opponent. And then I could wipe those out really easy, and then just like Merc crossbows with Ashen Dawn, I win that fight, and then I can focus on these Gilded Legion. So it's currently kind of like, this is really sucking. I'm also not scoring any points, and my opponent scores 1, 2, and then yeah, the objective with the men-at-arms over here. So 3 objectives to my 0, and I'm not doing very well. So currently, I'm just throwing away stuff for free. I'm not thinking about the bigger picture. My opponent's scoring a bunch, and none of his stuff is really dying, and I'm kind of like, crap, what am I going to do? Well, hopefully turn 4, this all changes. So this is turn 4. Turn 5. Maybe turn 5, once the Crimson Towers come onto the table, I can regain some of this. So let's go look at turn 5. So here's turn 5. I only get... Oh, do I get 2? Oh, yeah, I totally get 2. You can see over here on the right, they're kind of cut off really badly, but they're there. And then these guys on the right as well come onto the table. So this is the rest of my force. Things would happen. I believe I get to go first. I have my Order of Ashen Dawn over here activate. I just have all his attacks go into these Merc crossbows because I'm like, well, if I'm going to die, I might as well go kill Merc crossbows. And I do that. He then has, I believe... Who is it? I think the Chapter Mage heals these guys again. And I'm just like getting fucking annoyed. I then have my Merc crossbows go. These Merc crossbows shoot at these Hustle Knights, killing off one in the back here. So I'm doing work there. That's good. Then he backs up his Men-at-Arms because this is where I forget to move my token. And I'm like, well, I'm going to move it off of red. I'm gonna move it off this zone and put it on this zone so you can't score it. So he just backs up into that zone to score it, and I can run up 15 inches, so I mess up really bad and don't score this zone at all because I fucking blocked myself off like an idiot. And so I'm just like, frustrated. Like, not doing so well. My opponent for score blocking, once again does this thing, and I'm just like, I fucking hate this. Merc crossbows keep shooting into mounted squires, keep stabbing mounted squires. Like, I'm just trying to kill these fucking mounted squires so I can do other stuff. Because they need to go, so I'm not, like, pinned down by them or harassed by them. And they just, like, get out of here. Like, get... my Crimson Towers, they're eyeballing this Men-at-Arm unit for next turn. The unit of Crimson Towers you can barely see on the left, they're eyeballing that. Household Knight unit for next turn. Was Ashen Dawn do a reform and then just march this way because I'm like, well, I need to go kill those Household Knights. I didn't really want to like march charge into Gilded Legion because I'm like, I don't really want to get stuck with Armor of Dominion, but it's really tough not to because he's right in the middle. I was trying to I was looking at it for quite a while, trying to figure out if I could get a side charge in there, and just nothing was working out. So I just kind of march him over there, and I'm like, well, let's go deal with the Ashen Dawn. I'll spread out and start scoring some stuff, because I need to start doing that, because my opponent's winning, but if I can kill the Household Knights, and if I can kill the Men-at-Arms and the Mounted Squires, if he leaves his Gilded Legion there, I'll just win the game by scoring more zones than he does. Cool. And with that, my opponent scores this one back here, the one with the Gilded Legion, and the one with the Household Knights. His Gilded Legion kind of just shuffle around, they don't really do much, and it's just like, great. So that is turn 5. Is this turn 5? Yes, I believe this is turn 5. So now I'm just kind of like, alright, you got 5 more turns. This thing should have died. What the fuck is going on? I need a new plan right goddamn now. And we're gonna find out if my ideas start working. So let's go look at turn 6 and see if anything pans out. Here's turn 6. Some things pan out. So, first thing I do is I activate Order Crimson Tower. So, my opponent wins the roll-off. First, I should mention, so my opponent wins the roll-off, and he activates his Household Knights. And he knows that my Crimson Towers here, on the left, who were back here, He can't get to me because that gap is only for 2 wide and he's 3 wide, so he can't get to me, but I can get to him. So he just does the smart thing, backs up. And I put my you can't score points on this zone to kind of force him to move. He's like, well, I'm not scoring points anyway. Or sorry, no, I don't do that. He does that to himself. Yes, I remember this. He does that to himself because he's thinking I'm going to run up and claim that zone, and he doesn't want me to score points on it. So I'm like, okay, well, no one's scoring points on it, that's fine. I put mine on this one to force him to get the fuck out. So his Gilded Legion can't just sit there and score because I'm like, I want you to move. So he backs up with his Household Knights as his first action. I draw Order of Crimson Towers. So the idea was if I got Crimson Towers first, then his Household Knights, I was going to march charge these Crimson Towers, who I declared my Supremacy turn for this turn, so I would have got Blessed. And I would have blessed Brutal Impact 2s into all his Household Knights. Hopefully doing enough damage to either kill them to the point where there's like 1 stand left, or, finish the entire regiment off. But at that point, I would have done sufficient damage to win that engagement. But he backed up, smart move on him. Very, very clever, very smart. Well, I drew my Order of Crimson Towers card. So this unit on the right here charges into the Men-at-Arms, does a bajillion damage, clashes, does a bajillion damage more, wipes out and kills the Chapter Mage. Men-at-Arms are dead. Cool. And I'm sitting with my butt on that zone so I can finally score points. Double cool. My opponent activates the Mounted Squires, kills off that last stand of Merc Crossbows, and then he just blitzes away. So I'm like, oh, that's great. I draw a Merc Crossbow card, I look at it, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? So I believe this unit of Merc Crossbows just walks up the table, shoots into these Household Knights, does a point of damage. He then moves his Gilded Legion because they can't score, and he gets into here. So this is another smart thing my opponent did. He put himself between these 2 obstructions, so now I can't charge him in the side, ignore his Pike Formation, ignore his Armored Dominion. So I'm going to have to fight him head on. So I'm like, that's not the greatest. So preparation for that, I moved my my Merc Crossbows up here, as you can see. There's a little bit of a lip here that's exposing the zone that I didn't catch until later, when I probably could have covered, but I'm not gonna shoulda, coulda, woulda or anything. But I noticed it later in the game, but not right now. So my opponent can get stands on that. However, I do move my Ashen Dawn from this position, and I just move them over there, and I start swinging them around to score that objective as well, and start swinging my Ashen Dawn to look into fighting either the Household Knights if they're coming that way, or the Gilded Legion if they're coming that way. My last unit of Merc Crossbows just kind of shimmies over and shoots into the butts of the Gilded Legion, doing... Do they kill anybody? I think they just do a point of damage. There's 7 stands here, so 1... Whatever. I'm not gonna bother counting, and also pardon me. So, yeah. But the big thing here, and the big takeaway is that I am scoring 1, 2, 3 objectives. What's really good, my opponent only has 3 regiments left. 1 of them is on 3 life. I can probably hunt it down with Merc Crossbows with a reform shoot and see how it goes. Crimson Tower, Ashen Dawn versus Household Knights and Gilded Legion. With that unit of Merc Crossbows, his Gilded Legion are going to hit the Merc Crossbows, then the Ashen Dawn are going to hit the Gilded Legion, and hopefully I can keep them out or stab them or something. And we'll find out how that goes next turn, what I believe is turn 7. So let's go have a look at turn 7 and find out if I kind of get my act together and kind of fight this out. Because right now I'm finally scoring, and this is what I need to do. So turn 7 happens, my opponent wins the roll-off, and he charges the the Household Knights into the Crimson Towers, kills them on the impact, and I'm like, yay! So they're all dead, and I'm like, oh, fuck. That really sucks. Things that go well for me, though, is that I believe these Merc Crossbows get to activate, they shoot into the Gilded Legion, and then he activates his Gilded Legion, and he only gets 1 stand on here, and he charges into the Merc Crossbows. He has to do a march charge, so I'm like, cool. He has to kill Merc Crossbows. I just reformed the Ashen Dawn to get 2 stands on here, so I'm scoring the zone again. Sweet. And I pick this zone as the one he can't score, and he picks that one. And the reason why he picks that one is because he doesn't want this unit of Crimson Towers coming from from the right, well, the right side of the table all the way to the left side of the table, just like running through everything. So he doesn't want that to happen if he put the marker there, because that's what I would do, because I'm like, well, I'm just going to score my way over there and hit those guys. And lastly, my Merc crossbows do a reform, shoot into the butt of the last mounted squire, killing him, and then they, because they fired for their second action, they just kind of start marching to swing around. And once again, I score 3 zones, and he has scored nothing. But I have to watch out. What will this Household Knight do? Because they're looking to either come this way. Like, they can't really come around this way because Gilded Liege are in the way, so they're probably going to start coming around, or are they going to back up into the zone to score it? That's kind of what I'm worried about, is dealing with that Household Knight unit, because he's been getting a lot of work out of it through the game, and I just haven't been dealing with it very well. Like, I haven't been setting up baits or traps, or like getting a roll off to win, and I probably shouldn't be doing that, but I'm also now just like scoring a bunch of points. So I believe this is turn 7. I think we're going to be going into turn 8, and we'll have a look at how that goes. Here's turn 8. Things would happen. My opponent, what does he do? I believe he activates the Gilded Legion first. He kills off the Merc crossbows with just a clash. He doesn't even inspire. He just rolls a bunch of dice and kills them all. And he then charges into the Order of Ashen Dawn. I'm like, okay, cool. Order of Ashen Dawn go. They bless all their attack rolls because they, why not? I'm not getting any cleave because his character is right in the middle of all 3 of them. And I kill them down to like 3 wounds. You can kind of see the wound marker right there. And my Merc crossbows come up from the side because he put his don't score that anymore. And I just go, okay, cool. And I just shoot him in the side. And that gets him down to 2 stands. I have 3 stands, so I still score that zone. Good on me. Crimson Towers, don't move. You score. His Knights reform into a square and move up, trying to get around this obstruction. I'm like, okay, cool. I dropped my no score back here because I don't want him to just back up and score. Might have been the better choice, but I think at this point he knows, like, I have 3 regiments to his 2, and one of them's down to like a stand and a character left, so I'm gonna win that fight. And so it's very much I think he's looking to kill stuff, but he also came off all the zones at one point, and I've been sitting on zones for a couple turns, so now I'm starting to score up again and starting to like make a comeback. And I'm kind of looking at it, and I'm just like, okay, I just need to like hold out and score more stuff and keep him off things. There is this lip right here that he can put a horse on to kind of contest me, but it's now just like, can I kill enough of his stuff to like keep him from scoring and keep enough of my stuff alive? So with that, that's really it for turn 8. It's kind of, coming down to like the last little bit of moves because everything else is just set up ready to go. So I'm just gonna go into turn 9. Here's turn 9. I believe he gets the roll off, or actually I think I get the roll off, and I shoot Merc crossbows into the Gilded Legion and just like flub a bunch of rolls and just do really shitty, and then I just start backing up to get into this zone with the Imperial Officer. He keeps dumping this to not have my Crimson Towers move. That's fine, I can score that zone all day. He does do like a wheel march to get to here, and then he does a march charge into the butt of the wheel march, and then he does a charge into the butt of the Ashen Dawn. As you can see, I lose an Ashen Dawn. Oh no. Ashen Dawn go, kill off the Gilded Legion, so there's good for me. I have 2 guys in there, and I think my opponent might have 1 or 2. Either we're tied or I'm scoring it. I really forget what's going on there. But it's Merc crossbows and Ashen Dawn versus a unit of Household Knights, and I have Crimson Towers just scoring off to the side. So with that, that's turn 9. I think he's trying to like finish off the Ashen Dawn so he can score. He's kind of realized at this point that I'm catching up in score because he hasn't been like contesting me or anything in scoring really. Like, I don't know, maybe he should have dropped his no score on this zone with the Crimson Tower so that they have to run here, and then next turn he drops it over there, and then I have to somehow finagle my way back, like, kind of like make me move a bunch to stop me from scoring for maybe a turn if I do it improperly. Kind of similar what he did, so I want to say like over here, but it's like, he's kind of getting away with it over there. So yeah, But he kind of wants to keep me trapped over on the right side there because he knows I want to score because I need to score to win. But I'm kind of like creeping ahead at this point to the point where like next turn I win the game because I just need to score one zone and he's not scoring anything. So because I believe at the end of this turn we're tied. So with that, let's go to turn 10 and I'll show you how the end of it goes. So last turn we were tied. He once again drops his marker right here. I, being clever, dropped my marker right here so that if he killed all my Ashen Dawn, he still wouldn't score it. Household Knights and Ashen Dawn fight. I kill one of the Household Knights. He kills an Ashen Dawn. We're kind of all tied up there. Merc Crossbows like shoot and move back. Crimson Towers just hang out. They score that. I score this. No one scores this. And the game ends... I should show you the score. Yeah. There's really not much to talk about for this. It's just like, you know, that end little struggle at the end, just see if anything's going to happen. So I'm just going to go to the score and I'll just talk about that. So here we go. So as you can see, 24 to 20. Set the clock back to 1, so turn 10. And that's the game. Really hard fought. Bunch of mistakes on my end. Got made where I was baited in by my opponent with my Ashen Dawn and he killed it. My opponent leaving his objectives kind of hurt him. There was kind of a turn where he kind of was forced off, but he was trying to like big brain me and I like didn't fall for it. Me screwing up my own stuff and like denying myself points because I was like, oh yeah, we got to do this. I forgot to do it because of how the scenario works. However, overall, really good game. Adam's a great guy. We went out for beer and pizzas after, and he's great to talk to. So I believe, I don't know if he has any socials, but I don't know. Go bother him if you could find him or know who he is. So yeah, really, really tough game. A bit of what I want to talk about for this one is that I was hydrating a lot. Like I drank 2 bottles of like 1 liter bottles of water. I drank 2 of those, so I had like 2 liters of water in me. But I didn't have any food. I didn't like leave to go eat something really quick in between rounds because between round 2 and 3, I actually finished round 2 before anyone else was done. So I could have like snuck off to go eat something and come back, like get something quick, but I didn't. And you should, when you're going to something like this, just pack snacks. Don't pull a mass and don't pack snacks. Like I brought water, but I still needed snacks. And also bring healthy snacks because I went down and bought like, I think I bought like Reese's Cuffs and like sour cherry gummy candies. And yeah, you know, candy's great and all, but like I want actual food. I should just like brought a sandwich or something. So remember, don't forget to feed yourself and hydrate when you're doing like multiple games back to back. Yeah, it's a really good match. We kind of made mistakes. My opponent capitalized on my mistakes of like not setting myself up properly, and I had to like move myself around and then also grabbing his bait, and he punished me for them. But then he's moved off the zones, and at that point I started scoring the zones and actually getting points because he had nothing to contest me anymore. It was really good for me, and I crawled and kind of clawed it back at the very end there for 24 and 20. So overall, good game. Things I gotta say about the event. I won. I got first place. I had a really good time. A lot of great people. I met the gentleman whose wife runs was it Cosplay GS? I will put a link in the description below. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Cosplay GS. So I got patches made from Cosplay GS, who's a local company from Calgary, Alberta in Canada. And so we now have BonkTable patches, so I don't know if I'm really selling these. I'm mostly just giving them away to people who I meet. So if we ever meet up, be like, hey, I want a patch, and I'll see if I have any left. maybe we'll see each other in like 3 years and I still have a bunch of patches. But anyway, if you ever see me in person, I probably have a patch. So I met the gentleman whose wife does that. Great guy. He played a Tauntaur at 1500 points with an Apex Predator. Tauntaur seemed to live for a while, but people were kind of bringing it down because it was the thing that was alive at the end of his games. So I was just like really amazed that that thing was played at such a low point level, and I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be rough. But he didn't have the level of control or staying power to like stay on zones long enough and to support it. Who else did I mention? I got Liam from Millennial Model Mayhem, great guy. Conquest Jesus, so because he kind of looks like Jesus. I met him. He 3D printed me a bunch of, well, not a bunch, like 2 Behelots from Berserk, because I'm a huge Berserk fan. Really love them. I'll probably clean them up and maybe paint them at some time. So thank you very much for that. Just want to give a shout out to Jordan, the Vanguard, or one of the Vanguards, because Liam's also a Vanguard, who organized this whole thing and got it going and kind of like got everyone moving and was like, okay, now go play your games and everything. Super nice guy, great opponent. He was my round 2 opponent, and met a couple other people there. A gentleman named Trevor. So I really like Trevor. That guy was super cool. He So he actually asked me the question. So Trevor is a person from Britain, and he was like, hey, I got a question for you. It's like, how'd you come across the name BonkTable? And so I told him, and basically there is how do I say this? There is a web-based program that you can play War Machine on. What's really good to play War Machine, and I played on it through COVID, and it's called War Table. And when I was kind of getting into Conquest at the end of COVID, I talked to the some guys who knew the guy about, hey, can we get Conquest on this? Because I would love to play, like, War Table would be great for Conquest. And so they talked to him, and it was basically, he can't do it because they can't get the wheeling to work out right. So I'm like, okay. So, and I was kind of joking around, like, when are we gonna get Conk Table, like Conquest Table? And I was like, just went to Conk because you gotta shorthand it. So when I made BonkTable, I was kind of like, well, you gotta throw table in there because it's a fucking minis channel. And I was gonna call it Conk Table, but Conk Table just sounds weird unless it's for that specific program. But I was like, man, people are gonna go onto Conk Table. I'm like, no, that's weird. And then I thought about the horny bonk with like the bat and the dog meme where they like bonk 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 bonk. And I'm like, that's funny. I'm gonna call it BonkTable. So he informed me that bonk means something else in Britain, and I never caught on to it until he told me it, and it basically means sex. So the channel's name is Sex Table. I was like, oh, that's really funny, and also like bad on me, but I'm not changing the name or anything because I still think it's really funny. So thank you very much, Trevor, for informing me that I have lewd undertones. Oh God. What else do I got to say about this whole thing? Like, I don't know. I had a great time. I won. I won first place. I got some Old Dominion shields. I got a gift card. I got, I think, some dice in a little baggie. There's a raffle for like best painted. The door prize was a Tauntaur that one of the First Blood players got, and people were really excited for him to get it because he's a kit basher, and so maybe pictures of that will pop up when he kit bashes a Tauntaur. What else happened? Oh, there was kind of like everyone got like a box or 2 of angry chickens. So now I have 2 boxes of angry chickens, what I'm just going to use as retinue or objectives at some point. That was really great. But yeah, like overall it was a really good event. I met a lot of great people there. Everyone was fun and friendly. Everyone was good to talk to about the game. Like if Calgary ever does another like tournament and you're in the area or it's not too far drive away, I would strongly recommend you guys go down there and play games with them. It was a great community and a great meta and a great day of Conquest. So with that, I kind of want to thank everyone for sticking around through these I guess this like tournament series where I just go over the 3 rounds of the event I played. For some plugs, BonkTable has a Discord. Find it in the description below. BonkTable has a podcast. You can also find that in the description below. And BonkTable does lore readings. Not this month, because I gotta edit all this. However, I hope everyone has a great day, and you have a good one. Bye!